Welcome to Charities Babu USA, your #1 channel. I'm here. I have a video that I want to do, but before that, thank you for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. Guys, we are almost 4,800 subscribers. We are doing the road to 5,000 subscribers, and I know you guys are going to help me to get there. So if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please consider subscribing. If you're already here, continue liking my videos, continue asking those questions. And that's how we roll, guys. That's how we roll, guys. So today I'm going to talk about the Form I-134. This is for the people who have won the DV lottery, and they require this form from the host. This form is filled by the host as a promissory letter to the government that you will support that person when they live with you. You know, before they get on their feet, it's required. Especially because the person who is coming in, they might not have enough resources to support themselves. So that's why a host is important, very, very important. It's an important document. When someone sends you this document, know that it's a lot of respect and a lot of trust that they have given you. And of course, it's a lot of generosity because they are inviting you to their home to share their family with them and to share everything with them. So it's important. So you will be required to have this one, and your host must sign it, and you have to write the information there. And of course, they will have to give you something else different. They have to have a job, of course, to show that they will be able to support you. Of course, they have to give the Form 1040, that's the tax form, to support that they are able to show proof that they're able to support you. They might decide if they don't have the tax form, maybe to give some bank statements or whatever. But if they have a tax form, that's good enough to go. So let's look at the Form I-134 and see what it is. And so I'm going to share my screen here, and then we're going to go through it so that you can know when you are, if it's your host who is filling out for you, or if it's where you're supposed to, where information is supposed to go, or where what goes where. So this is called the Form I-134, is a USCIS Form I-134. So this is what they have to fill out for you now. So when you look at the topic there, it says declarations of financial support. So they are declaring that they will support you financially, but you cannot, of course, you cannot take them to court and say that you say that you're going to give me this money, so you have to give it. No, you're not going to do that because, you know, they are extending some help because you really need some help, especially after you have won your DV lottery, to show that when you come here, you are not going to be a public charge and you're going to be good before you settle. Now, when we look at this one, it says start here, type or print. You can type or you can print in black ink. You can print in black ink means you can use a black pen to write on. So it has two things. You are filling as yourself as the beneficiary or another individual who is the beneficiary. So if I was filling it for someone, I would click on here, filling another individual who is the beneficiary. That is the person who has requested me to send them the Form I-134. Now from there, you'll go to part 2. Part 2 is going to be the beneficiary. The beneficiary is the person who has won the green card. So information about the beneficiary, you will put their first name there, their given name, and their middle name. And this one must match with the passport. So the person who you are giving the Form I-134, they must have sent you the copy of their passport. You must have it so that you can put the information there. If they have ever used any other names, you will enter here any other names. So say provide all other names the beneficiary has ever used. So you have to have a conversation with them for them to tell you all this information. Then you will put their date of birth. Normally here in the US, we start with the month and then the date and the year. You're going to enter there. Then if it's a male or a female, you're gonna indicate there. Now the alien registration number, this one you get it when you come here to the US, so don't worry about that. And then where were they born? So if you have all their passport information, you will be able to fill out of this information: the city or town, the country where they were born, the state they were, or the province where they were born, where the country of citizenship, of course, the person who has won the green card, where the country of citizenship, you write there, it's in the passport number, of course. The passport number, the country that issued the passport number and the expiration date. So it has to be when you got it and the expiry date, and then the marital status. If that is that person single, is that person married, is that person divorced, is that person widowed, legally separated, or marriage annulled. So you are going to enter here. Of course, you have their information. Now, then there has to be the mailing address. You can either decide whether to put the mailing address or not. If they have a mailing address, they can put it there. It doesn't matter. They can put it there. And then here they are going to ask you, are the beneficiary mailing address the same as the physical address? And I'm going to talk about this one and I talk about the host. Now, so you will enter here. If it's the same, if the address that they give here is the same on this one, you just leave it blank. You don't have to enter anything. And then how long are they going to stay? Of course, if someone goes to they go and get their visa, then you will write that date here. But because it's a DV lottery, the DV lottery is not, it's an immigrant visa because they're migrating to come and live in the US. So of course they will not have an end date. You can put there. But if you are filling out for someone who was coming for a short stay of time, then you would have an end date. So here for a DV lottery, just click there for no end date. And then from there, the beneficiary financial information. Now here, the beneficiary, they can decide whether to put their income or not. This one is upon them because this document, normally, it really, the most important information here is about the person who is agreeing to sponsor this person. So they can or they cannot. So let's assume you are a teacher. You can write there your name and the relationship and the income. But if you don't want to put it anything, it's okay. It's okay. You can leave it blank or whatever. But I don't know. You can leave it, or you can. They won't penalize you for not putting information or for putting information. So, but let's assume that you are working as a teacher and you have all that. Just put it there. If you have kids, you write the name of the kids, you write the date of birth, but then you write 0. And if you decide even you as a beneficiary you want to put 0, that's fine. If you are not going to contribute anything, or if the member of your family is going to contribute anything, just write the total income there is 0, because here the most important thing here is for the sponsor. Now, and then if you wrote 0, of course you click here no, and here no, and then here is going to be a 0 if you enter the 0 here. But let's assume, and I like to talk on both sides because there's some people who have very nice jobs even if they have won the DV lottery. Maybe you are a doctor and you are working there and you have income. They won't ask you whether you put your income there or not. So it's good to know that even if you put your income there, this is what I have, they are not going to penalize you about that. But sometimes why people choose not to put anything there is because sometimes you compare the dollar and you compare it with the money that, or the currency of where you're coming from, and it doesn't make sense. Sometimes it might not even make sense. So that's why you can leave it like that. Now, let's talk still about the beneficiary. If they have any assets, they can put them there. So you decide, are you going to put them or no? That's fine. Now, part 3 is very important. The information about the individual agreeing to financially support the beneficiary named in part 2. That is, I'm going to give myself as an example. I am agreeing to financially support someone. It's a promise that I am giving to the US government that when that person comes into my house, I will support them. You see what I mean? So the first thing that you put in there is your family name, and your given name and your middle name. So I'll put my name there and then my first name and then my middle name. And then if I have any other names, like in my case, I had a different name. So I would enter my different name there, the one that I had used before, because they want to know this person had used this name earlier. And now they are with this name. So if the beneficiary or the person is in the US, they have used another name, they are going to enter it there, and then they are going to put in their current mailing address. Now, the address is always very important. Most of the people, like a large number of people, they use the mailing address that is in their home. Like, for example, my home address, I would put it there. And but there are some people who have a home address and a mailing address, whereby they live in a different area, but their mail comes in another address. That's where it comes in, whereby they always do this part of the mailing address. But before you, if your address is the same as where you are living, then you don't have to fill out this part, because he says, is your current mailing address the same as your current physical address? If you say yes, then you don't have to fill out over here, because this one will work. Now, and then other information, your date of birth as the sponsor, where you are born, the state or province, the country, the A number. Now, of course, when you come in, you're a citizen, you're a permanent resident, you have an A number, you can put it there. That's the slot where you put it. And then what is your relationship to the beneficiary? Is it a relative? Is it a friend? You put it there. Okay. Now, then they will ask the the sponsor about the immigration status. Are they a U.S. citizen? Are they a U.S. national? Are they a U.S. lawful permanent resident? Are they a non-immigrant? Whatever they are, they have to tick the correct slot. So for me, I would fill there, I am a U.S. citizen. If it's a lawful permanent resident, they would click there that they are a lawful permanent resident. So that one goes like that. And then from there, the person who is willing, individual agreeing to financially support the beneficiary named in part 2, the employment status. Of course, they have to be employed. You have to have a job here. You can't stay here without a job. So you are employed full-time, you click here on employed. And then if you, maybe you're not employed, or maybe you are in business, you can put it there. Maybe you are older, you are an older person and you're retired. If you're retired, then you will enter there. But of course, you have to have something, you know what I mean? Because when you are employed is the best thing. But still, if you're employed, then you must have a job. You cannot just say that you're employed and you don't have a job. You must have a job, because down here you're going to say you are current employed as a what? You write what you're employed, and you write the name of the employer. Okay, so you put that. If you are self-employed, you have employed yourself, you'd say, I'm currently self-employed as and whatever. And then they will ask you for the address of your job. You will put it there. Very, very important. Then from there, here, it's about the people, the family of the sponsor. So let's assume it's me. I would write my name here, and then I write self, and I write what I make annually. I would write my husband's name, the date of birth, the relationship with me, what they make annually, and then I would enter my kids over here. Of course, my kids, if they don't have a job, I'm going to put 0, and then the total income is going to come down here. This is very important, guys. Very, very, very important information. And of course, to support all this, the best thing that supports all this is the Form 1040. So what I would ask, if the sponsor is sending the information, just send the Form 1040. That talks much about everything that is required to explain about this form. Okay. Now, they will also ask you, does the income come from any illegal activity? Of course, no. So if you answered question number 16, yes, then you will enter there. But, oh my gosh, you cannot be in illegal activity here. You will be caught. So, of course, those ones are going to be no's, because I believe that the person who is sponsoring you is a good person, upright person. Then, of course, if they want to add some assets, it gives more weight to your Form I-34 if they have assets, but of course they have to do the cash value in dollars. So let's say, for example, I have a home and I don't own it, or maybe it's a mortgage. There is no way I am going to put my home in mortgage there and say that one is going to help that beneficiary, because that is my home, so I cannot do that. But if you have another different kind of asset that you own, that you don't, it's yours, or maybe you have some shares or some bonds and you want to put them there, you can put them there. But remember, you have to give a proof or supporting documents to show that you have that stuff. And of course, you have to show the cash value in US dollars. So it's very, very important. So if what I would say is that if you have a job and you have put the amount that you earn annually, there is no point of worrying about number 20. Just let it be and leave it at 0. Okay. Now, they look at history. I told you history is important. They keep records. So they will ask financial responsibility for other beneficiaries. Have you previously submitted a Form I-134 on behalf of a person other than the beneficiary. If I have hosted someone else, if I have sent my document to someone else, I have to declare here. So if I have, I will say yes, and I will write all the information over here. If I haven't, then I will say no. So very, very important. Do not omit this, because when you submit a form I-34 for someone, they keep records. So if you're the sponsor, don't forget, if you had sent your I-34 and your documents to another person, indicate there, because they want to know. They want to know if you had hosted another person or whatever. So it's very, very important for you. If you send someone your form I-34 and you send them all their stuff, it's very important for you to keep their information, because if you want to host another person or you want to sponsor another person, you will need that information so that you can be able to answer question number 22 and question number 23. So the number of people that you have hosted, you do that. Okay. So I intend to provide specific contributions to the beneficiary. The sponsor, intend to make specific contribution to the support of the beneficiary named in part 2. So, so you will write there down. If you intend to furnish room and board, state for how long. If you intend to provide money, state the amount in US dollars, and whether it's be given in lump sum, weekly or monthly, or for how long. If you need additional space, you use part 8. Now, normally for a DV lottery, when you are filling out this form, in your mind, you know that when that person comes in, you're going to help them. Of course, they to maybe to give them rights, because they have information. When you come in as a DV lottery winner, there's a booklet that you're given at the port of entry that's written "Welcome to America" and all that stuff. If you read that book, it has a lot of information. You can even know where you're going to get your social and all that, because you just Google the area that you are. But the host, of course, you need someone to drive. You don't have a driver's license. So what I would write is that I intend to support this, to help this person. I intend to host this person in my home and help them to get their documents and support them until they get a job, because of course they will get a job, you know what I mean. They have come here as a permanent resident. So I wouldn't put any money there, because when someone is living in your house, even if you're not giving them a lump sum of money, you are supporting them in 100%, you know what I mean. So it's very, very important for you to know that. Now then, beneficiary statement. I, as the beneficiary, certify the following: that you can read and understand English, and you have read, understand every question and instruction in this declaration, and you answer to every question. Very, very, very important. Okay? So make sure that you click on this one, that you can read and understand. Because if you don't click on that one, then how did you understand this document? You don't know anything about it. So don't forget to fill out. That is for the beneficiary, the person who is being sponsored. They have to fill out that part. Now, if it was an interpreter who was doing it for you, maybe you don't know English and someone else was interpreting that, they will have to write there. The interpreter named in part 6 read through me every question, because they read it for you, an instruction on this declaration and my answer to every question in your language, a language which you are fluent and understand everything. So if it's an interpreter, let's assume you're Spanish, let's assume that you know French, you know a different Italian, whatever, you don't understand English, you must have an interpreter who is gonna be able to read for you in that language, and then you have understood. You have to declare that you have understood that one. And then at my request, the preparer, namely, if there was a preparer, someone else did it for you, a lawyer, whatever, they will say that they prepared this declaration for me based only upon information I provided unauthorized. So you have to, so if it's you, you can read and understand English. If it is an interpreter, they read to you every question. If you did it, no, if you're a preparer, someone you requested to prepare for you, then they have read it to you and you have understood. So you have to be able to tick one of those boxes. Okay. Now from there, this is your certification. Read all the copies of documents. I have submitted exact copies of an altered original document, and I understand that USCIS or the Department of State will require that I submit original documents to USCIS or the Department of State at a later date. So furthermore, I authorize the release of any information from all of my records that USCIS or the Department of State may need to determine my eligibility for the migration benefit I-6. So it's very important for you to read the certification. Most people do not read it. Most people just fill out the gaps, and if you fill out the gaps without reading, that is why you make mistakes. So it's very, very important for you to read. Know what know what you're signing. Very, very important. Now, then after you have read this certification, is when you come here and you sign. The person who is being hosted signs here, beneficiary's signature. So you sign and date. So the statement, contact information, certification and signature of the beneficiary. Only complete this section is part 1. Basing filing section is myself as the beneficiary. Otherwise continue to part 5. So you can sign there. All right. So so if you can read and understand English and all that stuff, you will click there. I've talked about that. And then you write your data, telephone number, or your mobile telephone number. Most people have a telephone number. So put your telephone number here and your address. Okay. Now, then we come here. This is the certification of the individual agreeing to financially support the beneficiary. What is required of them? Copies of any documents I have submitted are exact copies, photocopies of unaltered original documents, and I understand that USCIS or the Department of State may require that I submit original documents to the USCIS or the Department of State at a later date. So if they need anything and they ask you for stuff, that means that you're ready to give more stuff. You see what I mean? So I read that. It's important for you to read that. And then after you have read that and you have not lied, here it says, I certified under penalty of perjury that I provided all or authorized all the information in my declaration. I understand all of the information contained in and submitted with my declaration, and that all of this information is complete, true, and correct. It has to be true and correct. You cannot lie. And then after reading that declaration, you sign. It's important. And why I say it's important is because most people do not read what they are signing. So read this document before you sign, and then you sign and then you date it. Very, very important. So if it was an interpreter who was doing it for you, don't know English, they will write their name here, and then they will write their mailing address, their telephone number, and their email address, all that, and then they will certify here that they have read the information for you. So very, very important. After, if you don't have an interpreter, then don't worry about all this. But I am talking about this on behalf of those people who do not know English. Then from there, if it's a preparer, someone prepared it for you, an attorney who did it for you, they have to be accredited. Then that is their part to sign. So then they will put there if they're the preparer. So if you don't have a preparer, then leave it there. If there was any additional information that the beneficiary wanted to add, or the host wanted to add, they can add that information over here. They have given you a part 8 for additional information. And if you do not have any, then you just leave it. So that is the form I-30 for you guys. So I hope that just going through the form and seeing how it is going to help you, even when you get it from your host, to know and understand what is this. And of course, I remember it's important for them to send you the form 1040. It's a better form, the form 1040, because it shows about the yearly income for those people, and those are important documents. Keep them safe on behalf of your host, and use them for what they are supposed to be done for. And then when you're done, then keep them safe. Take them back. Just that person has trusted you to invite you in their home and to send you all those documentation. You should not take that lightly. You should not be going to share that information in whatever with your cyber friends or whatever. No, that's important information. But I kind of like the African way, whereby when you win a green card or when you're going to the US, you're quiet. You don't tell anybody. I like that because most people don't talk about it. I remember when we had ours, we didn't tell people. Like, people came to know like the last minute, like a week before we left, and we had already gotten our visa. So guys, I hope this form is going to help you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. God bless you and stay safe.